is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
The time right now is 4:27 here on your Thursday morning. We want to thank you for starting your day with us here on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey. Let's get to our top stories today before we get started. First, we do have the funeral set today for fallen officer Breanne Leith of IMPD. You can see some pictures of her here. That's with her son, who she is leaving behind. Officer Leith was shot and killed in the line of duty a week ago after responding to a domestic violence call on the city's east side. We'll be remembering Officer Leith today, her spirit, her dedication to this community, family and friends telling us about this bright light in our community. And we know that the funeral is going to be a little bit different. It's at 11 a.m. this morning at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but due to the coronavirus, the public will not be able to attend. Police officers will be remaining in their squad cars until they go by and lay a carnation on the trailer. So we'll be bringing that to you live here on RTV6 on our digital platforms, so you can still show your respects. They say if you want to step outside for the procession, you are welcome to do that. Just remember those social distancing guidelines. We do want to talk about our forecast for today. You can see it's still dark and quiet. This is our downtown view to the north. A really chilly morning, so you'll want to grab the coat before you head out there. We do have a freeze warning that's in effect until about 9 a.m. this morning. Temperatures are in the 20s right now in some parts, and so keep that in mind. Right here in Indianapolis, it's about 24 degrees right now, so very chilly for the spring. Temps will warm up a little bit, climbing closer to 50 degrees throughout the day today. Todd Clausen will begin to talk about the chances of snow returning on Friday. That's likely areas north of Indy with a little bit of accumulation likely. To the south, it should remain all rain. Again, that will be on Friday, so Todd will be in to talk to us about what we can expect and then when the warm-up is set to happen this weekend. We do want to talk about the coronavirus right now and the latest numbers here in the state of Indiana. This is from the state health department. As of yesterday, we got those new numbers of 49 new deaths. That brings the death total to 436 here in the Hoosier state. More than 8,900 cases have been reported so far, and we can also tell you more than 48,000 Hoosiers have been tested for this virus. We'll continue to keep you updated as we get those new numbers in each day from the state health department. As we expect this surge in cases to continue here in the Hoosier state, we are monitoring the 911 dispatch centers. We know in other states where they had a big spike, these centers and the dispatchers were overly busy, a huge increase in demand of 911 calls. So our Alyssa Donovan is going to be looking into how Indiana is prepared and how they're ready for that influx in 911 calls. Very important, because if you call them, you need their help and you need dispatchers to get those emergency crews to you right away. So we'll be breaking that down for you, as well as your local news, weather, and of course the traffic reports. It's all coming up on Good Morning Indiana.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Not only did we lose a sister, but we also lost a dear friend.
Now at 4:30 on Good Morning Indiana, the city preparing to say goodbye to one of its fallen heroes.
We will continue to wear our uniform with pride. And every day we suit up, we will suit up knowing their breeze in our heart.
Breanne Leith will be laid to rest this morning. How she's being honored by her family, friends, and the community she gave her life to protect and serve. And of course, we'll be remembering Officer Leith throughout the morning. We want to thank you for joining us here on Good Morning Indiana. Again, I am Lauren Casey. We're going to get to those top stories and your forecast in just a moment. But first, I want to give you a look here at your commute. This is I-65 right now on the northwest side of you here, north of 30th Street. You can see traffic is moving along up to speed, both northbound and southbound. We know the temperatures are in the 20s, though, this morning, so it's very cold before you head out on the roads. Maybe heading to work early this morning. You'll want to dig back in the closet, grab that warm coat, maybe a hat and a scarf this morning, and we will keep you updated on what we can expect as we head throughout our Thursday.
We never hesitated to talk to young people or those that were interested in law enforcement. She often shared her experiences on what she went through to become a police officer. So again, I would ask that to hold on to the memories that are being displayed about her, and just know that she loved this job more than anything.
24-year-old IMPD officer Brianne Leith is remembered as someone who lived to serve others. Officer Leith was shot and killed 1 week ago today while responding to a domestic violence call on the city's east side. Today, a private funeral service will be held at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at 11 o'clock this morning. She will then be laid to rest at Crown Hill Cemetery. This police officer funeral is going to look a little different than others you may remember here in Indianapolis as we deal with this COVID-19 pandemic. Only 10 people will be in the actual services. Police officers will attend, but they will stay in their cars and separated. They'll step out at one point as a trailer is pulled past them for each of them to drop a carnation into the trailer for Officer Leith.
This is a newer tradition in law enforcement funerals. The white of the carnation signifying purity of heart. The tip of the flower will be a red stain, which is to signify the spilled blood of an officer.
If you want to step outside to say goodbye for this procession, IMPD encourages you to do so. They say stay in your own yard and don't forget to observe social distancing. Again, a virtual service for Officer Leith will be held today at 11 a.m. We will show you the funeral live right here on RTV6, the RTV6 mobile app, and also at our website, theindychannel.com. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll have more on the life and the legacy of Officer Leith. Turning now to the latest on the coronavirus outbreak here in the state of Indiana. The State Department of Health is reporting more positive cases of COVID-19 and more deaths from this virus. As of Wednesday, 436 Hoosiers have lost their lives due to the virus. More than 8,900 positive cases of COVID-19 have been reported to the state, and more than 48,000 people have been tested so far. And this morning, there is a call for lawmakers to address the disproportionate impact COVID-19 is having on the Black community here in the state of Indiana. We can tell you African Americans make up about 20% of the COVID-19 cases and deaths, while being at just 10% of the state's population. Wednesday, the Indiana Black Legislative Black Caucus sent a letter to Governor Eric Holcomb urging him to address the staggering numbers. They're calling for several steps to be taken, including testing and triage centers in Black communities, anti-racism training for health workers, and an outreach campaign geared toward African Americans. Public policy experts say those recommendations could make a real difference.
It boils down to actually just calling things being related to race. I think often the language gets conflated in things like poverty or crime, when really we're seeing that these racial disparities are happening regardless of income, regardless of history, regardless of some of the behaviors that folks like to kind of conflate with race.
Governor Holcomb did respond to a letter from the IBC and says he's looking forward to working with the group. The governor also addressing questions when the state could see businesses reopening during yesterday's COVID-19 press briefing. Governor Holcomb says the decision will be data-based, and it depends on how the state is doing in terms of those COVID-19 cases and the infection rate.
In terms of how we will reopen or re-engage on the economic front, it'll be a rolling reopen. It won't be all at once. It won't be flipping a light switch. I've said from day one that while we may be one of the first to go into this, my goal is to get us to be one of the first out of it and to have a healthy workforce ready to go.
Governor Holcomb also says he's working with business leaders and organizations to see when they would feel it would be safe for employees to return to work. As of this morning, no timeline has been set for the rolling reopen to begin. Meanwhile, nationally today, President Trump is expected to lay out federal guidelines for the reopening of the U.S. economy. Coronavirus response coordinator Dr. Deborah Birx says that the rate of the new cases has declined across the country, but also warned that now is not the time to relax social distancing practices. But those federal guidelines expire at the end of the month, and they are not expected to be renewed. John Lawrence has more.
President Trump says the U.S. is doing well in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic.
These encouraging developments have put us in a very strong position to finalize guidelines for states on reopening the country.
The FDA has issued emergency authorization for 2 more antibody tests that could identify people who might be safe to work. However,
with viruses that we deal with all the time, when you develop an antibody after infection, it almost invariably means you're protected. We don't absolutely know that for sure yet.
The White House is expected to give benchmarks on how to ease social distancing, but governors have the final word on when and how they'll move their economies forward.
Let's find out where we are. Let's find out the facts, then we'll make a decision. Everyone has been wrong about everything for this entire duration.
One big city mayor saying Americans might not be able to go to athletic stadiums or arenas until 2021 at the earliest.
We've got many, many miles to walk before we're going to be back in those environments. But I hope we can perhaps watch sporting events without audiences on TV. Of course, listen to concerts as we've been doing.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
It's 4:37. Thousands of Hoosiers have lost their jobs because of the economic toll that the COVID-19 pandemic has caused. But Hiring Hoosiers is continuing our commitment to connect you to job opportunities. Here's a look at a few companies with open positions right now. 5-Star Senior Living is looking to hire dietary aid workers in its dining department, full-time certified nursing assistants, full-time licensed practical nurses, full-time activity assistant in assisted living, and full-time activity assistant in memory care. CNA and LPN applicants must be certified and licensed. Pet products company Chewy.com is planning to fill 640 new positions by the end of the month. Full and part-time positions are available. They are holding interviews on site now. The Indianapolis Fire Department is looking for new firefighters. Reach out to them for a list of requirements if you're interested. Also, Kroger stores are hiring as the demand for food and other products increases during Indiana's stay-at-home order. And speaking of Kroger, the grocer and America's largest food and retail union are calling on federal and state governments to designate employees at grocery stores as extended first responders or emergency personnel. Leaders of both groups say that grocery workers are playing a critical role in our communities and must be protected. They're asking for first responder or emergency personnel status for all grocery workers, and that status will guarantee that those workers have priority access to personal protective equipment like masks and gloves. We know there's a lot to keep track of as things are changing daily, and that's why we put everything you need to know about the pandemic in one place. That includes the latest numbers and what they mean, frequently asked questions, a list of COVID-19 symptoms, and companies that are hiring right now. All of that information is up right now at theindychannel.com/coronavirus. The time right now is 4:39. Todd, good morning to you. Tell me about the forecast today. It is cold.
You know, that's what it's all about. These temperatures very, very chilly. We're all in the 20s this morning, and that's why freeze warnings are posted once again. The one exception, Muncie, you're hanging on to 30 degrees right now, but things will be changing for you as well. You'll dip down into the 20s, but look at Indianapolis, 24 degrees, 22 in Crawfordsville. That has no sign of spring in the forecast, but we'll start to moderate the temperatures. It's pretty quiet right now across the area with skies that are partly cloudy, and we'll have a good amount of sunshine throughout the day today. And with that sunshine, we'll start to warm up pretty quickly once the sun does come up. But you see that snow off to our west? That will be heading our way late today and into the overnight hours once we get into Friday morning. So today we'll go back and forth between partly to mostly cloudy skies. Highs get up to near 50 degrees. Not a bad day, just well below normal. We'll talk more about that snow that is heading our way and the potential accumulation we could see across parts of the area when Good Morning Indiana continues. The time now is 4:40. Stay with us. We're back in just a few minutes.
Hiring Hoosiers only on RTV6.
Welcome back. It is 4:43. Today marks 13 years since one of the deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history. Flags across Virginia will fly at half-staff to commemorate the lives lost during the 2007 Virginia Tech University shooting. 32 people were killed after a student opened fire on the Blacksburg campus. The gunman then turned the gun on himself. An annual event held in honor of the victims will move online this year because of the coronavirus pandemic. The Run for Remembrance will be a virtual run. New this morning, an NFL player has tested positive for the coronavirus. Wednesday, the Los Angeles Rams announced that Brian Allen was diagnosed with COVID-19. The 24-year-old is the first active NFL player to test positive for the virus. He said he first started noticing symptoms about 3 weeks ago after waking up and realizing he couldn't smell or taste anything. Allen said other symptoms included headaches, a sore throat, and fatigue. Last night would have been the Pacers' final game of the regular season, but instead the NBA season is suspended, and the future right now is unclear. So how is the franchise handling this uncertainty? RTV6 Sports Director Dave First talked to the team president to find out.
They'd like to get a little bit more production from Oladipo.
It's now been over a month since the Pacers have played a game and winning more times than not, and with an eye towards the playoffs. In a Zoom interview, team president Kevin Pritchard says it's hit everyone in the organization.
I don't know if I was prepared to understand what players were going through, because you have this regiment and then it's gone. And, I can feel it in my own self, to be honest with you. That first couple of weeks, I was like, wait a second, something's missing.
Inside Turner with the block.
Among it, momentum. The Pacers had won 8 of the last 11 before things came to a halt. And Commissioner Adam Silver isn't about to rush a return. In fact, the earliest a decision could be made about possibly continuing the season would be May. Even then,
Commissioner says, okay, we're going to go. But there's got to be a period, I would think, where you're going to need a week or 2 weeks to get everybody back into game shape.
I would say 2 or 3 weeks minimum, and then play some games. But we're going to have to be cautious, because we got to get them back to a point where they can play at the highest level too.
Until then, Kevin says the team's strength and conditioning staff checks in daily on the players' workout program. There's even a 90-minute group Zoom meeting every week, with most of the guys finding a local gym in between.
And I applaud that. It's like, they're torn, because they want to get in the gym. They want to get a good workout. They want to be playing 1-on-1, 2-on-2-on-2. But I think the most important thing that they can possibly do is adhere to these social distancing rules and get out of this as fast as we can.
No one wants a safe return to the season quite like Kevin Pritchard. A return to the smiles, a chance to see just how hungry this team is. But for now, there's an empty feeling.
In your opinion, how much does this country, the world perhaps, need sports?
Boy, I don't know if there's ever been a time where we need it more. I'm a big believer that sports brings us together in a unique way, and that we miss that. We definitely miss that, Dave.
A season that, for many reasons, can't return soon enough. Dave First, RTV6 Sports.
Thanks, Dave. If you're itching for more basketball, ESPN has you covered. Tonight, the horse semifinals and championship games will air at 9 o'clock on ESPN and the ESPN app. In the semifinals, Chauncey Billups will take on Mike Conley, who knocked out Tamika Catchings, and Zach Levine will take on Ellie Quigley. The winners will then advance to the finals. And this weekend, you can relive the magic of the Chicago Bulls' 1997 to 1998 championship season with the premiere of The Last Dance. The 10-part documentary takes you inside one of the greatest dynasties in NBA history. Coming up on GMA, Michael Jordan will go one-on-one with Robin Roberts for a look back to that special moment in sports history. A lot of people, Todd, going to be getting under the covers and maybe watching that documentary series, because it is not a day to go outside really at all.
Especially this morning. This morning we're dealing with temperatures that are below 30 degrees in many locations on April 16. We should not be getting this cold. It's not the question that it happens every now and then, but this many days in a row is pretty unusual for us. 24 degrees right now, winds out of the west-southwest at 6 miles per hour. Everybody's in the 20s with the exception of Muncie. You're still holding on to 30 degrees. We're down to 26 in Bloomington. 22 is the current temperature in Crawfordsville, and Terre Haute currently sitting at 26 degrees. As we work our way throughout the day today, we remain so cold that our temperatures here aren't even registering from 5 to 7 once we adjusted it for the spring-like warmth. But you do notice once we get into the mid-afternoon hours and then eventually into the afternoon, temperatures will climb up through the 40s and eventually up into close to 50 degrees in some locations. Here's another way to look at it graphically for you. 33 at 9 a.m., 40 degrees by 11 a.m., 44 degrees by 2 p.m., and then 47 degrees. And we'll toggle the skies back and forth between partly to mostly cloudy. We start off with a lot of sunshine, and then we'll kind of build the clouds in as the day goes on. And the clear sky is one of the reasons why we are so cold. You don't have to worry about these flurries that are passing by. You do, though, have to worry about what's off to our west. That is some snow that is going to impact the area. Yes, you heard that correct. Snow is going to be in the forecast for some of you. It is for those of you in northern locations. I really don't think it's much of an issue from Indianapolis to the south. It's going to be mainly rain. Could be a few flakes mixed in, but the snow primarily sets up to our north, and it's a pretty good band of snow. And the fact that it comes in after sunset tonight and before sunrise tomorrow will give it the potential to accumulate. It's tough to accumulate snow this time of year if the sun is up, but this will come in during the overnight hours. There'll be a pretty good band of snow, but even in northern locations, with the exception of maybe Peru over towards the Logansport area, you change over to rain as well, and then most of us just deal with rain once the sun comes up, and that'll wash any accumulation away pretty quickly anyway, and the showers will come through by 3 o'clock. So it's a pretty wet day for most of us tomorrow. For some of you, again, you'll be waking up to a little bit of snow. Temperatures tomorrow will be climbing up into the 50-degree range. And here is that snowfall band. Again, no snow from Indianapolis to the south. I'm expecting about 1 to 2 inches, I would say, from Lafayette over towards Tipton. Once you get north of Lafayette, Tipton, up towards the Peru, Logansport area, you could get into a little bit more, as we could see maybe 3 to 4 inches of snow by tomorrow morning. But whatever does fall melts away quickly, so just hunker down. Don't go outside. Shelter in place, and you'll be just fine. It'll melt away very fast. Then finally, some warmer temperatures, Lauren, working their way in here for the weekend.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. We're keeping a close eye on traffic this morning as you're heading out on the roads. This is I-65 and I-70 at the North Split. You can see traffic is moving along up to speed there on the I-65 lanes. As you can see that the eastbound I-70 lane still blocked. This is for that long-term construction project between here and the east side at 465. We'll continue to monitor any delays, but due to the lower traffic, it seems like things are still moving along past this closure on the detour route. Well, some college applicants may end up taking their SATs at home this year. The College Board says it's preparing to make a digital version of the test. Officials say that's because of the coronavirus outbreak. It may prevent students from returning to school in September. Another option would be giving the SATs on weekends starting in August. Option 3 would be administering tests in the fall. In Indiana, Butler University has announced it will no longer require the SAT or ACT scores in an effort to support students during this COVID-19 crisis and beyond. Some graduate programs are also waiving the GMAT and GRE requirements. There are some concerns that students will be behind next year after so much learning at home. That's why the American Federation of Teachers is pushing for a national summer school program if it's safe to return to the buildings by then. The goal would be to help students who may have fallen behind because of learning disrupted by the coronavirus pandemic. The group is asking for $25 billion from the next federal relief bill to pay for the program. A pair of park rangers with Yosemite National Park are finding a way to keep busy while under the stay-at-home orders, and they're doing it by bringing some entertainment to the kids. Meet Rangers Anastasia and Adam. They're hosting question and answer sessions live on Facebook. Each week, the Rangers focus on a different topic, from bears to things with wings and much more. The kids and parents are encouraged to join in, ask any questions you might have about animals. Rangers also introduce you to the animals they work with at the park. You can join the next session, which will be at 1:30 this afternoon. Move over, Pizza Rat. There's a new adorable pizza-loving rodent in town. Coming up, the story behind this viral video. We'll be right back. Well, it may feel like Groundhog Day, doing the same thing over and over and over again while we're stuck at home. But even groundhogs are trying to change things up a little bit. Like this guy, he was caught chowing down on a slice of pizza in Philadelphia. This adorable rodent was spotted munching on that slice for about an hour before scurrying away. Here he is. Neighbors say the groundhog has been spotted several times, but never with an entire slice of Sicilian. Look at him there. He's got the jaw going.
He's going to town.
I know. He's like, this is way better than those sticks I've been eating, or whatever groundhogs eat, Todd.
Much better. Even took the pepperonis off, it looks like. It looks like, look. Looks like the squirrel, Lauren, in my backyard eating all the seeds that the birds drop under the bird feeder.
Oh, yeah.
He's chowing down. He took the pepperonis right off that thing. All right, outside right now, we're dealing with very, very cold conditions, freeze warnings in place. But once the sun comes up, we'll warm quickly into the mid to upper 40s with skies that'll start off mostly sunny, then kind of increase in cloud cover throughout the day. But it's dry on this Thursday. You can get out and about. But we have some snow to talk about tomorrow. That's all coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. Time now is 4:57. Stay with us. We're back in just a few minutes.